I went and told Nani, I have news for you. He said, what? And Nani by the time was so much in love with this role, Srinis, that he was literally heartbroken when I told him we have to play the lead. He said, no, I don't want to. He was like, sir, I like this a lot. I don't want this. I said, look. And afterwards, if anybody is looking for a new lead actor, it will be you.
Hi, this is Melanie of Pardesi Reviews. This is a 4-part series of my interview with director Mohan Krishna Indraganti. In this second part, we will discuss Nani's debut film, Ashta Chamma. In part 1, we discussed his national award-winning film, Grahanam. Part 3 will have a discussion of his romantic film, Samahanam. And then part 4, we discuss his upcoming film, V, also starring Nani, out September 5th.
And then you you kind of went into a completely different direction and decided to do more commercial films. I haven't seen your second film, but Ashta Chamma, I think, was like a huge success, and deservedly so, because it was just an absolute delight. So what struck you about wanting to adapt this old Oscar Wilde play, The Importance of Being Earnest, and update it into a setting in India and the Telugu culture?
Basically, I was not a big fan of the so-called art house cinema. I don't believe in cinema being art cinema and commercial cinema, because I believe that film basically is an art form. So it becomes commercial once it goes out to an audience. And I realized that in Telugu, the problem is it's such a highly commercialized, because the aesthetic got commercialized in Telugu, because people started thinking, okay, these elements will give us money, So when it got so commercialized, there was a need, in my opinion, urgent need to create a new kind of cinema, which is also sometimes genre-based. I was also fascinated by genre films. I wanted to make genre films. I wanted to make comedies, sports dramas, romantic thrillers. Now V is an action, is a noir, noir action drama. So I was always interested. I always felt that in Telugu, broadly Indian, but also in Telugu cinema, we have everything in the same film. We have family drama, we have songs and dances, we have murder mystery. Everything has everything in it. So I wasn't very comfortable with it. I thought, let me do something. But I also realized that it's going to be an uphill task, because I have to negotiate with the audience, because they're not used to. I'm coming from I'm trained abroad. I'm trained in a different aesthetic. I was watching European cinema. I was watching American Hollywood. I was watching the best of Hollywood, the best of European cinema, the best of Iranian, Turkish, Korean. So if I had, one of the mistakes made by the earlier art house filmmakers in India was they were either copying or adopting the European aesthetic into Telugu Indian settings, and they were trying to imitate Godard, they were trying to imitate Truffaut, they were trying to imitate all these great Russian filmmakers, which doesn't sit with the life here, the way you see it. The only director who was influenced but still managed to create his own style was Satyajit Ray. I don't think anybody ever matched him again. So but I always wanted to work in the popular media. I wanted to reach out to a lot of audience and change the way they see films, So I thought, if I stick to the Grahanam framework, then I'll be appealing to an audience who already know what it is about, who can read that idiom, and then will appreciate it or whatever, criticize it, whatever, but it appeals to a small section of an audience.
Right.
But I wanted to broaden my audience. I wanted to take a certain aesthetic to a larger audience. And I was always interested in genre. And one of my favorite genres is comedy, because I always believe that comedy is the most underrated genres, but it's the most difficult genre to work.
Comedy is hard.
Very hard. Yeah. So, and I have always been a fan of Oscar Wilde's works broadly, and I intend to, if possible, adapt his other works also eventually. I really like his some other plays like Lady Windermere's Fan, and of course Happy Prince, and also my favorite is The Picture of Dorian Gray, which I'm fascinated by all the time. So I thought, let me do this, because what fascinated me was the obsession with the name thing, and there was no reason given by Wilde as to why Gwendolyn is obsessed with Ernest. She simply is randomly saying, I love
Yeah.
that name. You look so earnest, so the name
Right.
suits you, she says. But that won't work here. I thought I just let me bring in a cultural aspect into this, which with which local audience will connect more.
Oh my gosh, when
And
that scene
lu-
started in her bedroom and all the
luckily,
posters,
like, luckily
all
to
the
me,
Mahesh posters, I loved it.
luckily for me, Mahesh Babu got married just then,
Yeah.
and there was a genuine reaction, not as exaggerated as I showed it in the film, but there was like people saying, "Oh God, I wanted to. Oh God, I love him." Blah blah blah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why not I use this name? And it's also a nice name, Mahesh. A lot of people love that name here. So why not use this name and create a character? And if you look at Importance of Awareness, it's kind of a male play. It's more about
Yeah.
Jack. It's
Yeah.
about Algernon, and both Gwendolyn and I think I don't know who I forgot the other girl's name.
I
Sicily,
don't
I think.
remember
Yeah,
it.
Sicily.
Yeah. Okay.
Sicily, yeah. They are like supporting characters, but I want to
Right.
flip the point of view. I wanted to start with the girl. I want to make it the girl's story, and she's obsessed with the name. Now and I made Algernon a neighbor who can't take this noise anymore. So he wants to step in and help her out, and then introduced Mahesh, and then turn him into Jack, the Rambabu of my version,
Right.
and that gave me an opportunity to actually spoof some of the conventions in Telugu cinema, like how they portray this noble landlord in some of the Telugu films, this patriarchal noble landlord
Yeah.
who's the village head, even though he's young, he's the village head and he has to maintain a certain decorum. He cannot express himself freely. He cannot break free of all these customs and traditions and all that shit. And he has to act in a certain way with people. So I had a golden opportunity to exaggerate all that and play with
Yeah.
it, and which was not in the play at all, which
Right.
obviously was
Right.
the play. And then play with that along with what Wilde gave me. Wilde was critiquing his 19th century, the society, the British upper class society that he was so pissed off about. So he
Right.
was cracking left, right, and center jokes about it. So I thought, why not I use that as an inspiration to, kind of throw light on some of the aspects that I'm finding objectionable or funny or
Yeah.
kind of regressive, whatever it is. There are a lot of, I don't know how much of the subtitling really got because it's extremely localized idiom I used in the dialogue. So I'm
That,
sure some of
yeah.
it is lost in the
I
subtitles.
mean,
Yeah.
with anything, there's certain cultural things that I'm never going to get because I didn't grow up watching the films.
Yeah.
I didn't, I just, some of the stuff just goes over my head, but so
Yeah.
much of the humor was still there. And because I'm familiar with the original play, I just was just so, every turn I was like, oh, he's doing this, I was just so delighted with how you had adapted it. And then the actors that were in it too. I mean, it was not only Nani's first film, but it was Srinivas's first film too. And you gave, to me, it was just completely a hero-centric film with a little bit smattering of time for everyone. Everyone else was a fully fleshed out character. The second male lead gets quite a bit of a story on his own and so forth. So I loved all of that. Can you tell me a little bit about how you picked out Nani? I read that you saw him in an advertisement or something. Like, how did you decide I'm going to take a chance on two unknown actors and have them both debut in this film?
It's kind of weird. Nani was auditioned for the second part, the role that Srini played, Srinivas. So Nani auditioned for it, and that I liked him. I said we cast him. Nani and Swathi were supposed to play the second leads, not the main leads actually. The main leads we were still searching. It was a very accidental. I know if you must have heard of this filmmaker called Nandini Reddy, who made Ala Modalaindi with Nani actually.
Yeah.
We were looking, we were not finding anybody, and then she came to me one day and said, show me a small video of Nani, which she did as a small advertisement for a local TV channel, an ad for a song-based program, which he did. And I thought, this guy looks good, I want to audition him. Then he came to meet me, and then he was wearing these dark shades because he had some eye infection. So I mean, imagine auditioning him where I can't see his eyes. So he walked in, but I liked him. I said, hey, I asked him, are you interested in acting? He said, no, of course I'm interested. So I said, okay, let's do an audition when you get better. And in a couple of days, I think he got better. And then he came to me and he auditioned for Srini's role, and he was quite good, very charming. I thought this guy is good. Let's go with him. And then Swathi was always on, and she was game. So and then we started looking for the main lead, and we weren't getting anybody. I was not happy with anyone. So one day my producer said, "Hey, this guy is so good. Why can't we make him the lead?" I said, "I absolutely love this kid. I'm more than willing to do this." And actually, I was thinking of it, but then you are the producer, man. Can you take the chance? Because
Yeah.
we have to find the second lead, and then definitely that guy will be also a new guy. Then we are
Right.
talking about four leads, out of which only Swathi is slightly known. The rest of them
Right.
are completely unknown. He said, "No, I'm game because this kid is good."
Wow.
Then I said, "Just let's call him. Let's call him to the office once. I want to take a look at him one more time just before saying yes." So I called him, and he was there in the balcony, and my producer just peeped in like this. And Ram is a very shy person. He doesn't mingle with a lot of people. He's a very private guy, but he was like smoking and just peeped at him like this and said, and he looked at me and said, "Let's go with him." And I was like, "You're sure?" He said, "Yeah, let's go with him." And I went and told Nani, I have news for you." He said, "What?" And Nani by the time was so much in love with this role, Srinis, that he was literally heartbroken when I told him we have to play the lead. He said, "No, no, I don't want to." He was like, "Sir, I like this a lot. I don't want this." I said, look, I told him, "Look, I know that Srini's role is a little author-backed. He's like what we call in our local tradition, Sutradhar. He runs the show.
Mm.
Trust me, you're going to be the lead of the film. And afterwards, if anybody is looking for a new lead actor, it will be you.
Yeah.
Because you're going to do two roles, which are actually a challenge for you to do."
Mm-hmm.
So Nani reluctantly agreed, and then he auditioned then for the lead role, which he did very well, of course. He was very good at that. I said, "That's it, you're the one." Then I went to Swathi and said, "Swathi, look, Nani's lead. I want to move with him to the lead to be with him." And she said, "Are you nuts? You think people are going to watch me as a lead?" I said, "No, no, you will work. You will work." Then she said, "Look, I want you to promise me. Don't call me tomorrow and say you have to go back to your the second leads." I told that. I said, "No, I promise you, I will not switch you back to the second lead. You guys are leads now." And then it started, and then we started looking for the second leads. Then luckily, Srinivas Avasarala sent me an audition tape from the US. He was working at Princeton at the time in New Jersey, and he sent me a tape which I thought was brilliant, and I cast him. And then we found Bhargavi, who was just an upcoming actress at the time in television. Unfortunately, she passed away later.
Yeah.
And then we locked, and when we on the first day of shoot, I knew, man, we cracked the casting. And these guys are so good. They were just flying. They were just flying from day one. So yeah, that's Nani's was as accidental as that. But I knew that this guy. I remember emailing Nani after the shoot, after the few days of shoot. I think after a few days of shoot, that you guys are star material, and I'm glad that you got this. But if you guys can shape your careers carefully, you'll go places. That's what I told both of them, that you guys are real. I'm so happy with both of you, and it turned out to be true.
Yeah, I mean, what a debut to start with a double role like that. Like you say, it was quite challenging because the two characters were quite different.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I enjoyed it so much. So, yeah, we'll get to it in a minute, but then now you're getting the band all back together, essentially. For his 25th film.
Please do join me for part 3 of my interview series with director Mohan Krishna Indraganti, where we discuss his romantic film Samahanam, starring Aditi Rao Hadari and Sudhir.
Released, and they got the subtitles done then, and I was in the hospital, and then they showed it to me, and I said, forget it. I mean, this is like a parallel genre running, comedy running along with the film. So there was nothing much I could do about it. My agony is with people is it is not an adaptation of Notting. It is. It's like I would call it literally an inspiration.